When I go out, I can tell you right away the guys that have money and the guys that don't. The guys with the Rolexes and the nice shoes and the nice shoe, they don't have the money. You know,
They don't
I
have
was
they don't have money in the bank
no,
to have it on themselves or in
right.
their presence.
Today, I'm joined by Jake Lombardi, CFO at CharterJet One. Jake's path hasn't been a straight line. He started in public accounting, earned his CPA, and quickly realized the conventional route wasn't the right fit. A chance conversation in a coffee shop opened the door to private aviation. But taking that leap meant walking away from certainty, taking a major pay cut, and spending years learning the business from the ground up. In this conversation, Jake shares what it took to build a career in a high-pressure, relationship-driven industry, navigating setbacks, rebuilding amid uncertainty, earning trust, and learning that money alone doesn't create a meaningful life. We talk about leadership, work ethic, the value of being present, and why the strongest relationships, whether in business or life, are built on honesty, consistency, and genuine care for people. If you've ever questioned whether you're on the right path or wondered what it takes to bet on yourself and keep going when the outcome isn't guaranteed, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
All right. Welcome to another installment of Be Your Own Boss. I'm your host, David Gambill, where we discuss a person's life and career and what got him to this point. Our guest today is Jacob, or Jake as he goes by, if he's
Jake
a
is
good
fine.
boy. And then greetings and welcome, Jake. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell kind of share your backstory, where you came from, how you started.
Thank you, David. My name is Jake Lombardi, 34 years old, and I'm with CharterJet One. I'm the CFO there. I originally started as a CPA, which is a public accounting, doing audit work right out of college. You know, the glamorous lifestyle. Young, didn't know what I wanted to do, but I followed in my cousin's footsteps, believe it or not. One day I was miserable. The work I was doing just wasn't for me. I wasn't working with people that I liked. And one day I was at Starbucks in line and I'm talking to this guy and we're talking about the Knicks, of course, and he goes, "You don't strike me as an accountant." Yeah. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing down here. I don't either. He goes, you seem more like a sales guy. You ever think about quitting? I said, sell what? And it's kind of like a off the series, question. We're at Starbucks, just trying to get my coffee and go, you know.
Right.
I said, yeah. He said, you quit your job right now and I'll hire you. Now, mind you, this guy is in a blue Adidas sweatsuit. So right off my bat, my perception is this guy doesn't strike me as somebody successful. I just put in a year of my life and a lot of money into getting the CPA. And then I said, what do you do? And he says, I sell private jets. My name is Al. And I was trying to understand whether he was serious or not. Lo and behold, I saw the Cadillac Escalade outside, the driver waiting for him. And I said, he had to be somebody. You know what? I'm going to roll the dice because I'm not happy. I quit. Now, professionally, he didn't want me to give my 2 weeks in. I gave my 2 weeks in as a courtesy to the company. Since then, I've been doing it and I've learned a lot. I would say it's the worst decision I've ever made in my life.
Makes you say it. So, yeah, go ahead.
I've struggled for the first 12 years or 11 years in this business. I didn't really have much guidance. I was working 24/7. This is aviation. This is not your 9 to 5, go home and sleep. And you're not working with reasonable people. You're working with people. I like, sometimes when I'm out, I'll say, I'm a science professor. I teach people that the world revolves around the sun and not themselves. So, if I don't want to hear the whole private jets is cool, I just tell them I'm a science teacher. So I learned a lot about the business, the sales. He's one of the best salesmen. They've made movies after him. They've made movies with him in it. He's also an actor. I mean, he the reason why I don't bring him up is I haven't spoken to him about this, and I'm not going to, so I'm not gonna share his name. But he's a big Knicks fan, and, I'm sure you see all the celebrity rows there. He's right there with them. So, working with him was quite the experience. One, I took a pay cut. I had to prove my stripes, as they call it, and I started at a base of $20,000, which in 2015 is nothing, still nothing. Proved my loyalty. We worked around the clock. I made a lot of sacrifices, let's say. And what really hurt was my family not at first supporting the jump. Everybody pushed me to be accountant. Oh, they're so proud he passed the CPA. And well, this isn't for me, and I almost have to say, I don't care what you think. I'm doing what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Took a long time, but it's worked out now. And it's taught me many things, including business itself, how important it is to have people skills, leadership, not yelling at people, but people gravitate towards those who are the hardest working. The leaders in the room are the ones that work the hardest. The bosses, they're the ones that point the fingers and say, you go do that, you do that, you know, and you have to have humility. You have to fail. You have to lose clients. You have to get done dirty by people and, learn how to not channel your negative energy into it and keep falling down the hole. You got to learn how to pick yourself back up. I'd say this: private aviation, it is free for all. There's a lot of money in it, a lot of hands. So I decided my business model was going to be based off of what my grandmother taught me. Always keep your nose clean, be trustworthy, be transparent. If you don't have the best price, you explain why. I learned everything about the industry. And really, now my slogan is you're going to get trust, transparency, and reliability. Now, fortunately, the last 2 years have been very good. And I'm in a position where I'm not commission driven. I can tell people how it is. I'm an executive level base, so I have no reason to try to put as much on the trips as some of these brokers do to make as much money as possible. I'm comfortable with where I'm at in life, and I learned a lesson when I was about 29 years old, that if you chase money, you will never find happiness. It will never be enough. So that's my biggest thing, is never do something because you want money.
Yeah. So what is your family saying since you left the CPA deal? Are they on board now?
Yeah, they're in the pool. They're using the amenities.
Right?
They
Right?
Yeah. So they're happy now. But I'd say almost 8, 9 years of real not knowing if I was gonna make the rent on time, have the full amount, overdraft, to now learning how to balance my life with, finance and accumulating wealth, but also maintaining it. My biggest fear now is the stock market collapsing or something happening where I'd have to start all over. I noticed that a lot of people in life, and the people that I meet, the people that fly private, a lot of them don't even have college degrees. A lot of them are just hustlers that have a niche, or they're creative and they can communicate. They have the relationships. Relationships get you in the door, but ultimately what you bring is what, the value. I've seen guys come out of jail, lose everything, get barred from the SEC, come back, invent, their own niche, and they're creative and they become millionaires. Yeah. It's an industry where you learn a lot about life as well, not just about, what they teach you in a textbook in high school and college. Like, you have to do this, you have to be a doctor in life to be successful. It
Do you think you're lucky to meet that one person in the Starbucks? Or what do you or
Lucky in
would
the
you think
sense,
that that was a turning point, or is there something else?
no, no, there were many turning points. In fact, I left the industry for 2 years. That's what got me in the door, was whatever it may be, was that moment happening where I met Al, I'll say. That was an opportunity where, hey, I can say no, thank you, and go back to the job that I wasn't happy about, and who knows where I'd be. Or 2, take that opportunity, learn a whole new industry, take a leap of faith, and see where it goes. Now, like I said, my biggest thing is I failed more than I've succeeded. It's only been the last 2 years where I've really, found my balance. Before I had left the other company, I was making very good money, but I was not happy, and people could see it on my face. You could see it in my eyes. My mom would say, "When you're here, you're not here. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about this." I couldn't go to my grandmother's funeral. It's something like those things you can't get back in life. So that's why I say I've learned certain things through ultimately taking that risk that have taught me how to be a better person, better leader, a better father, anything in life.
Right.
If you
But
apply that.
that one person gave you that opportunity to learn what it was to be a person.
He gave me an opportunity to work in the aviation, private aviation side, which is not advertised openly. And I mean, he's credited with being the pioneer of the industry. He's the top dog. I was He's not just some random guy that opens up a shop. He was the cream of the crop, the top guy that everybody was going for. Had all the athletes, the celebrities. He had been established.
Hmm, interesting. Well, you mentioned other failures. What other areas of either relationships or other items that you kind of, maybe did a 360 on saying, or 180 and said, that was a bad mistake.
Say this. I'll lay out a timeline for you. I graduated college in 2014. 2015, I took the leap of faith, and I struggled for the till about 2019. I'd say the end of 2019. That's when I started getting, seeing more dollars come in. What I was promised in 2 years now, was actually took 4 years. Now seeing the fruits of my labor. Then COVID hit and aviation grounded, and it's like, wow, here I am. I put in all this time and work, and now finally, as soon as I start somewhere, I get somewhere in life, and I start accumulating dollars and getting money, it just shuts down. Now, mind you, I also wasn't as savvy with money as I was. I actually started spending on them. The more I made, the more I spent,
Right.
believe it or not. And, I had nothing to show for it. So after COVID, we were with a merged with a, we were we weren't merged with Wheels Up, but we were working with them. We were doing their supplemental lift. So I was part of that group, 5 guys that just handled all their off fleet. Uh, and then after COVID, that broke, and nobody knew what was going to happen. What happened was Vista, the largest fleet in the world, acquired us. And so when we joined a corporate kind of company, Vista Global Holdings, a Thomas Floors company, that's massive. They're the largest fleet in the world. You know, even the brokers, the sales guys, they were concerned. Where do they fit in? So I had to figure out a way to make myself stand out, and I was good at the time with tech skills. So I was what I was doing was reaching out to the people with the planes, getting their availability, putting it in spreadsheets, all the boring stuff,
Yeah.
but
Right.
trying to find a way to make myself valuable. One day, this guy got a call for a ASAP mission out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and the guy said, I don't know anybody in Little Rock." And I never forget. I said, N532 Mike Tango's there, sitting there. And he looks at me, he said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And he went in, found it, he got a price, put $30,000 on it, and gave me $100, said, "Thanks." I was like, but Al at the time, I saw that and said, well, okay, this kid has talent. He cares. He's trying to find a way to adapt in this ever changing. Mind you, this is the days where, COVID happened. Everybody, it was doomsday. It was over.
Right, right.
People moved to
Everybody's shut
Miami.
down. Yep.
I had landlords calling, begging me to move in for 2 years, take the 2-year lease, you know? And then right around, they want to kick a few of my friends out. So, but back to your point, you said, what is something that I regret? Another mistake was like in a relation. I was in a serious relationship at the time for 4 years, and all I did was think money was going to solve things. No, and I got into a mortgage, and it was supposed to be our first place, and I was unemotionally available, was the way of putting it, which is fair. Looking back at it, I feel kind of bad. But I was so focused, like you gotta have money for this, you gotta have money for that, you gotta have everything's getting expensive. You want to think about the future, kids. So that's also a reason why I try to stay in the present. Because if you look back, you're always gonna have regret. If you look forward, there's anxiety. So
Yeah.
try to keep yourself balanced in the middle.
Interesting. Yep, I agree with that. Yeah, putting
So
putting money forward is very poisonous, and it's very self-indulgence, I guess you can call it,
mhm,
right?
yes.
It's a very, very interesting trap you can lay yourself if you're not careful.
When I go out, I can tell you right away the guys that have money and the guys that don't. The guys with the Rolexes and the nice shoes and the nice shoe, they don't have the money.
They don't
I
have
was
they don't have money in the bank, they
no,
have it on themselves or in
right.
their presence.
The guys wearing the Skechers that are there for the free meal, like Robert Lauder was at the music art festival, Miami. He's a billionaire. He owns Estee Lauder, one of the largest companies in the world for makeup, I think, for females. But yeah, he was in Skechers, no watches, nothing, just getting a free meal.
Right,
So you learn a lot about people. You see different characters come through. Obviously, in this world, there's a lot of wackos, a
right,
lot of
right.
celebrities. You got to learn how to deal with some real personalities.
So was it that one call that you made kinda got you to where you're at now, or is there something else that put
No,
you into
I
the era?
started. So I went from being an employee, and I learned this too. Was there's people in life that are going to make money and people that cost money. They don't play by the same rules. Okay. In certain industries, the people that bring in the money, those are the guys that have more leeway per se. They can toe the line a little bit more than others. But at one point, I was somebody that costs money. Now I'm somebody that makes money.
The money, yeah, yep.
Yeah. And when I made that transition, that's tough because it's a eat what you kill type of world and environment. And so that's where I built my big client base where everything was based on trust. I didn't want to make things transactional. I wanted them to trust me. And then I started having guys throw 500, 600 on account because they knew I wouldn't screw them over. I would do the right thing. This is after Apollo. Apollo is where I started. I left Apollo because after my grandmother's funeral, not being able to attend it,
You said
I
enough of that.
yeah, I
Right.
was on that. I actually left the industry. I went back into finance. And then I got called 2 years later from the now CEO saying, "Hey, I can make you rich." And I said, "This is the same call I heard, same pitch I heard already." That's where I learned how big the brand name of Apollo was, and it's got me here. Done very well here, and I'm very happy.
Right. So how many companies let me ask you this, I guess I'm losing track of how many different companies did you have since you got out of the CPA business?
So, well,
2?
yeah, too, because the Apollo was technically VistaJet too. We
Yeah, because
merged.
they merged. Okay, yeah,
So
so yeah,
there
okay.
was
So that
that,
makes
and then I
sense.
left for 1 year, and then I came back for after a while.
Got it, got it.
So because of a non compete.
R Okay. So how did so what triggered I think you just recently got promoted, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So how did that happen? What was the rest of
I
what
mean,
was
it's
the
no secret. I don't want to talk about. I let other people talk about me, but Truthfully, I'm good with numbers. I have a CPA background. I understand the industry. One thing about Apollo is, when you work there, it's like the Navy SEALs. You can
Get
get
it
a job
done.
anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna get the
Get it
job
done.
done. There's nobody else putting volume out like that.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, you're creating the value, right? It's always interesting because I've always seen and talked with folks who have their own businesses, but they're trying to create value out of nothing, but yet they're not putting anything into it.
so that's the biggest thing is I bought my own leads. You have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
When I went from
Yeah.
employee to employer, the broker, the 1099, I had to invest in myself and my brand. And what was I gonna do? And you know, people say you got to get Google leads, you got to get all this automation. No, you got to get in with the executive assistants. You need to do your research. You need to buy them a cup of coffee. You know how many times I go walk around 200 Park, just holding the door open. Hey, how are you? You look great today. To get the conversation going. It's old
Exactly.
school. It's
It's old as time, right? It's all about culture, relationships, and it's all about just recognizing, seeing people for who they are.
right.
It's difficult. Sometimes I'm an engineering background, so usually I look at it's related to finance because I look at numbers, I look at data, I evaluate data, I make critical decisions on how things are built. It's
Hmm.
no different, but skill sets as far as interaction, I didn't learn that in college. I didn't learn that in high school. I didn't learn that in grad school. It's the hard knocks. You have to understand that people don't react to numbers. They react to you.
Well, there you go. That's one too. These kids nowadays, and I'm starting to see a problem where immigrants have the work ethic. They don't have these parameters where, oh, I can't work here because this is beneath me, or they have this entitlement,
Yeah.
or I can't
Yeah.
go into the office. I
Right.
interviewed a kid and he said, I can't. I want all this money, but I don't want to come in. I said, what's wrong? Are you disabled? Because we'll accommodate you. And he goes, what? No, no. I said, well, why can't you come into the office 5 days a week? Is it a disability? What is it? Because back before 2000, there was no such thing. And he couldn't give me a straight answer. And I said, listen, you didn't get this job, but walk away with a piece of advice here. Always have the mentality of what can I add to this company? What do I bring to the table? Not what can they do for me? That's how I approach everything with business, with relationships, with anything. What do
Yeah.
I
What can I bring to the table? And all the things you mentioned, you got to have an understanding of who you are as an individual. That's one of the things I had to learn identity before I could learn to see other people for who they are.
right,
Yeah, you get out of your own head, or at least it's the other thing. Understand your own head before you can understand other folks, and then and then stop thinking about, like you said, stop thinking about the past, the regrets. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself somehow.
right.
Focus on the here and now
Be
because that's the
present.
only thing you have in front of you, right?
Be present.
Be present in your own life.
So
'Cause you only get one. You don't get, it's not like a game where you can restart. Sorry, doesn't work that way.
I 100% agree with you. And I was actually looking up the quote that I read that really can't say resonates with me. The author, you can't be afraid to fail. And a lot of these kids really, they just nowadays they won't even pick up the phone. They haven't been taught how to contact people, and it's a rare, but it's almost I like something you can pay people for is how to keep somebody on the phone. They said I left after a year and went to another job. I was at a very big hedge fund teaching these guys that were all engineers. They were chess players ranked in the world. One of the kid that sat next to me played against Magnus. He was fantastic, and I thought I was good at chess. I never beat him, and I tried. I tried every day. He looked at the board like totally different than I did. And, he's counting the squares, the diagrams. I don't look at the chessboard like that, how many squares there are. So, but he couldn't get the clients on the phone. And I said, they have the positional power. Okay. You need something from them. How are you going to relate? Nobody wants to get a call saying, hey, I want your money. Click. No, you have to find an emotional way to counteract that positional power. And I start by saying, hey, how about those Knicks? Or like, hey, something that they're interested in. Let them go on their tangent. And I listen, and I just listen and pick up on something. And I'm trying to find their weak points, why they need me. Well, okay. And what happened? What went wrong with this meeting? Well, we were late because of the commercial. Delta sucks, and I say, okay, now I got this guy on the hook.
Now you just told me something I can use.
But
Yeah,
I
right.
haven't even told you what I do. I just let you go on a rant. Next thing you know, they fly. Oh, they weren't flyers. Now they realize
Now
time
they
is
are.
their rarest commodity. Another big thing is, like I said, it's always easy to do the right thing. Like for me, doing the right thing makes me money. So I get somebody that's shopping a trip, meaning they ask everybody in the world. I give them my price, and it's competitive. It's always going to compete, but they'll say I got a Falcon 50, for $6,000 less. Why is yours so high? I'll say, well, Falcon 50 were made in the 78. I think they started. Ask ask the person you got the quote for it, just for the tail number. They don't have it. I said, right. They're going to either tell you they don't have it, or they're going to switch it at the last second because
And
it's an
then,
older Falcon 50 and it's something that I wouldn't put my own family on, and it doesn't pass platinum standards. So if you want to save $6,000 and bring your family to Turks and Caicos for $6,000 less, I understand. Now they got that fear of, it's not safety, and my guarantee is platinum. I'm going to send you the pilot's pass report, their monthly medicals, everything,
right.
so that you can't say I didn't give you what I offered.
Promised.
I
Right.
promised.
Right. Somebody's
So
trying to hustle you and somebody's actually telling you the truth. Who you going to go with?
right.
So,
And then there's also times where I get, this guy, what's his name? He does those stupid videos on TikTok where he makes these clever, I'll give him that. But his business is volume. So he doesn't care if he messes somebody over. So he'll put, let's say on the brokerage side, he'll put $500 on a trip because he's doing 100 a month. But he's taking a client from somebody who charges 3,000. Now that client is upset at the person they've had a relationship with and said, "You've been charging me at $2,500 extra for so long." And the answer to that is no. Whenever there's an issue, and anybody that flies long enough knows there's going to have a mechanical, anything from the system's not turning on to the steward is shutting the door too hard and the door lock is jamming. That plane's not going up. It's not a car. Your light turns on. You don't pull over and say, I'm screwed. No, you say, I'll do my engine light next week or get my oil fixed next week. This is not how it works. So what we do is you're paying for us. So when that plane does break, I have another one there. And if it costs $20,000 more, you don't get a second invoice. That comes on me. So that's what you're paying for. That guy is going to leave you because he cares about volume. He doesn't care about you.
well, so often businesses now react that way, right?
Quantity versus quality. It's the
Well, it's
classic.
customers. I've been touting this for a while that what happened to concierge doctors or doctors you've known. I can go back in history when I was a kid. We'd have the same doctor for my dad and mom's life. Now I can't even last one day with a banking finance guy
Forget it.
or another person comes along and like 6 months later I get the same stiff about, well, are you okay with this? Like, well, wait a minute, where's the other guy go? And it's kind of like I can't get a consistent person that
It's
I
like a
can grow
hotline.
with over time.
It's a hotline. "Oh, we're gonna put you here. What's the problem? We'll send you here." That's why
Exactly.
people left the membership sites because they didn't have somebody.
They
Listen,
didn't
there's
have someone, right? They didn't have a name they could pick up the phone. That's the way it used to be in the past.
the
Well, I
problem.
know I'll contact Jack or Jake. Jake will take care of me.
Right.
If they don't know who that is, I mean, look at this. It was just this morning on T-Mobile. I don't know who the agent is. They actually just closed down a store near me that I used to go to get somebody in person. I don't know where to go because I don't even have a sales guy that I could go back to and know that he'll get me what what I need.
So
Now I have
funny.
to go
You're
to
right.
texting somebody on an app and God knows who I'm getting and where they're at and what call center they're in. Hell, I don't even know if they're American, right? It could be from India.
Banks are offshoring people. The banks are doing it, other countries.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
that's
even if our federal banks are doing these offshore and nearshore and cutting costs,
well, they are. I
most
mean,
companies,
even Teledoc, right? That's probably offshore as well.
they all
And
are.
and so that's like I mentioned before, the doctor. I mean, you can't the generalist. Every time I go see her, I have a female doctor, and I like, she really doesn't see me for who I am. I mean, it's the name and the number on the form. That she's, oh yeah, and then she looks at my age, and then she looks at my you know parameters within whatever database that she's looking at, and puts me in a category. But
I
she
get
doesn't
a
know me
second
as a
opinion.
human,
Yeah, and you know what? My mom was a radiologist. She just recently retired. She should
right?
have a long time ago. All these mergers, because all the hospitals they merge. So
Yeah,
now everything's under Hudson or Hoboken Hudson Medical Group, and they're prioritizing profits over people. Everything's
yeah,
about
they
the
are.
clock and how much they can make and bill, and it's not about the actual person. And that's bad. That's where my mom said, "I can't do this." You know, her coworker of the year was the one that read the most cases, but missed breast cancer because she didn't even look at it for more than 5 minutes.
Right, right, right. She could pick up on it because she's seen or looked at it so many
She
different
looked at it
times.
for 5 minutes. My mom said
Yeah.
she would have caught it. And this is the employee of the year. So
So, I
the
mean,
ba-
I hate to put it on a bad note, but I think, kind of going back to your one interview with a person saying, well, he doesn't want to come in 5 times in a day. Well, I think it's kind of stems from that. Everybody thinks that they can just call it in. And I think people don't realize the integration that we supposed to have as a tribal or social human to human contact as far as how we treat each other. It starts
correct.
with us talking with each other
Right. We see
and
it with
listening.
kids.
Yep.
But there will be people that want the jobs. I notice it
Yes.
with the immigrants. They come over, they want to work hard, they want to make a life for their families. They will do the jobs. And eventually, if you don't, life's
Put it
going to
up.
get to you one way or another. I
Right.
firm believer in that. You cannot run away from life. You can avoid it, you can avoid responsibilities, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get hit unless you're some billionaire's kid where you got generational wealth, even then
Yeah.
they
Well,
problem.
sometimes I worry about them. Sometimes it's my thing growing up is kind of if you don't get the hard knocks of life and you don't like you've experienced, you lose out. I mean, you really don't
100%.
learn it. You don't really don't learn.
100%. And that's why the gratitude's kicked in. That's why I'm so grateful my parents, are here and enjoying the pool and nice weather. I'm happy to talk to you, but
Thank you. I appreciate
they
that.
love coming here. They love to use the amenities, but at the end of the day, it's my way of saying thank you. Thank you for teaching me the right way.
Well, kind of closing out, what's in store for Jake from this point on? What's your I know you probably don't want to think about tomorrow, but I think you probably have
It's a
there
great
has to be
question.
some general idea of what's the future hold for you?
So The future is that I will be most likely assuming leadership duties once the CEO steps down. What the future holds is a fleet of ours where I don't want to give away all my secrets. Then we're gonna
Well, I
have
mean, I mean, you kind of already kind of said it. So you already set your sights of doing better. I mean, wherever that takes you. But personally, growth wise, I mean, you mentioned about a family, or you mentioned about your relationships. I'm assuming that's still something you're pursuing.
Of course, of course. Listen, I when you're in the office 9 to 5 every day, or not 9 to 5, really, like 8 to 8, is tough. But I make time for myself, and I go on dates here and there. But the responsibility of somebody else's children is involved, and making sure they're taken care of when somebody's no longer here to take care of themselves. That's
Right,
something that I feel the pressure to, start thinking now to perform.
right.
We Some people think they're old at this age. I think I'm just getting started.
No, yeah, well, at your age, I was probably just getting started too. So it seems like people are so fast trying to get started so quickly, they don't realize that they don't have everything together yet and they
That's the
stumble.
biggest thing is they're looking at other people. They're looking at Instagram. They're looking at this and that.
Yes,
I don't have this. I don't. Change your change your
perspective.
mentality.
Yep,
Be grateful for what you have.
yep. I'm into that.
That's the first step.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it, Jake, and thanks for your time, and thanks to the audience for attending. And I appreciate you, and have a good rest of your day. And we'll talk.
You too. Happy
Hopefully, we'll
4th of
continue
July.
talking. Yep.
I
Thanks.
would love to. David, let's stay in touch. Happy 4th of July. I
Happy 4th.
like this a lot. I'll come on again if you want me to.
Okay. Thanks. Take care.
Take care.
From leaving accounting to building a career in private aviation, your journey is a great reminder that success isn't just about chasing money. It's about taking risks, building real relationships, and staying true to your values. Thanks to everyone for listening to Be Your Own Boss. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you never miss a new conversation. We'd also love to hear from you. If you have questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, reach out anytime at info@gnggdesignllc.com. Until next time, keep designing your life your way.